Hey, this is part of my New to Uke series, and so today I'm going to be teaching about 7 chords. What are they? We had a regular C and then we had a C7. Well, why? So in this little short lecture, we're going to go over what a 7 chord does, how a 7 chord is created, and then how a 7 chord is used. So this will help you learn more about what you're doing with the uke. So why is there a 7 chord? That's really simple. A 7 chord just gives a little bit more tension to the music. That's all it is. It's a tension that then releases. And our ears like to hear that release. The tension is not too bad, but then, when we get to that release, we know we've arrived somewhere. Simple as that. So what makes a 7 chord different from a regular old C chord, which is a major chord, by the way? Well, I'm glad you asked. A regular C chord, or any chord, has 3 tones in it. So in the case of our C chord, we have C, E, G, and then the C is repeated an octave higher. That's a C chord, C, E, and G. Now a 7th chord puts in a B flat. What the heck? B flat's not even in the key of C. So you have C, E, G, B flat. Ooh. And so that makes it just a little bit more tense because that note, that B flat, doesn't belong in the C scale. So that's where you get the tension. So we're going to dig a little bit more deeply into music theory and able to understand what a 7 chord does in any key. You have to understand that there is such a thing as a 1 chord and a 5 chord. Okay? So if you're in the key of C, the 1 chord is a C chord. That's pretty easy. If we're in the key of D, the 1 chord is a D chord. If we're in the key of G, the 1 chord is a G chord. We're in the key of F. What's the 1 chord? Yeah? You said F, right? Okay, you're right. So that's pretty easy, the 1 chord. Then you have to know your musical alphabet. And the musical alphabet just kind of recycles around. There's C, D, E, F, G, A, D, and after B comes C. And after that, C, C, D, E, and then you're going to get out of my vocal range. So it just recycles those notes around. There's no such thing as key of X. We're not doing algebra around here either. So in the key of C, we would not use a C7 chord because we want to keep that 1 chord sounding nice and pure. Think of it as home base. You don't want a bunch of claptrap around home. You want home to be your place. So it's yours. Your ear hears that as being a comfortable resting place to be. Now, another important chord is the 5 chord. And you're going to see this a lot if you're in the key of C, your 5 chord is going to be G. C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're in the key of C, you might happen to see a G7 chord. You will not see a C7 chord in the key of C. There are some rare instances. Anyway, generally. So instead, in the key of C, you would see a G7. Now we've been doing things in the key of F. And there, F, G, A, B, C. C is the 5 chord. And so in F, it's appropriate to use a C7 because that will work in the key of F. Okay, with me so far? It may seem like a little bit of music trivia, but it'll make the next part make more sense. Okay, digging a little bit deeper into music theory. How does that note in the seventh chord, like in the C7, create tension? Well, in short, it wants to resolve. It wants to resolve to a more stable note. Well, why is this an unstable note? It has to do with half steps. And when you're thinking of your scale, and think back to the sound of the music, do, re, mi, fa, mi and fa. I used to teach children, so we had hand signals from Kodai, but mi and fa are only a half step apart. Mi, fa, and that in itself is just a little bit more tense. Think of, the notes are just right next to each other like this. Here, I can show you on here. We're going and so they're very close. They're closer than most tones on the scale. And so that is in part what makes it feel a little unstable, and it gives that note a little bit more tension. And that tension wants to resolve to one of those more stable notes. So in this case, it wants to go, the fa wants to go to the open mi. And so in the F chord, and it's something that our ears and our brains already know, but then figuring out the intellectual side of it gets a little bit tricky. So at any time you have a seventh chord and it's a 5-7 going to the 1 chord, just know that basically it's the 4th tone in the scale, fa, fa going to mi, and our ear likes to hear us get off that fa and get on mi. Yeah, kind of like in life, right? Okay, I hope that made sense. Leave me any comments below, anything that you have that's perplexing you. I'll try to iron that out for you. Okay, music theory, it is useful.